Yes. I know what that sound means. After the Paddock F1, Greeny and the Cheese. Round 8 sees the F1 circus arrive at that familiar spot on French Riviera. That's right, boys and girls. We're in that little principality. The glitz, the glam, the models, the supercars, super yachts, the parties. It's Monaco, baby. Yes. Who doesn't like to go to Monaco? Let's be real.
Nobody. Jeff Bezos was having a good time in Monaco. Amongst others.
Yeah, this is the place to be, especially in race weekend. But while you're there, maybe you want to check out Princess Grace's Japanese gardens, or maybe the Prince's Palace itself, the Oceanographic Museum, and of course, Casino de Monte Carlo. Get out that cash. Let's hit them pavements, son. But this ain't no travel show. This is an F1 show, where we're racing the iconic Monaco Street Circuit. 2.07 miles of those 19 famous corners. You know them all, boys and girls. Let's give it the full beans for 44% of your lap. New rules this year. 2-stop mandatory. Tried to spice things up, but it didn't spice things up very much. These guys on the pit wall are too gosh darn smart for it. That's what happened. Lando took pole in a lap record as well, taking the pole lap. Locked it up into turn 1, but he held on, and, it's Monaco, so these cars are too big. Can't pass around these tiny twisted circuits. But Lando takes the win. Well-needed win for Lando. Leclerc takes second. Oscar takes third. We are caffeinated. We are medicated. Good day, Green.
Yeah, a much-needed win for Lando Norris to keep him in the conversation, as you mentioned. Listen, if you haven't checked this out on YouTube, go there now. Check us out. Subscribe. Every subscriber counts, of course, and we appreciate everyone listening on this holiday weekend here in the States. And I guess a holiday weekend in Europe, if you count the Monaco GP, which many folks have a lot of opinions on. Reading online as usual this time of year, as the no passing zone, as you mentioned, the 2-stop change, which didn't add the pizzazz, but it is history. It's one of the oldest races since I think 1929 was the first race around these streets through Monaco. So it's like a piece of history. It's almost 100 years. Love it, leave it, hate it. I guess qualifying is always the biggest day and the most exciting part of the race. My yacht is in the shop at the moment, so we couldn't cruise in and back it up. Unfortunately, could have got one of those fake yachts like we have in Miami and park it on the fake water. But no fake yachts here, no fake water here. This is Monaco, baby. And yeah, like you mentioned, Lando Norris just coming through as he needed to. His first win at Monaco, McLaren winning once again. Max Verstappen finishing 4th, Ferrari finishing 2nd, Leclerc, heartbreaking. You really thought he was going to take it in qualifying. You thought he was going to be on pole for a moment there, as usual. Something always seems to happen to Charles Leclerc at his home race every single year, but I guess finishing 2nd can't be that disappointing.
He won it last year, so he got that monkey off his back. I almost thought Lando was, when he locked it up going into Santa Volta right at the start, I thought he was going to lock it up and go into the wall, and that was going to be it for him, because that was a hard lockup. He had headed into turn 1. It's Monaco. I mean, I love it. I don't think you're ever going to take it off the calendar. I mean, you kind of can't. It's one of the original races from 1950 as well. It was on the original F1 calendar. So it's been on the F1 calendar forever, so it's not going anywhere. Ever since the hybrid era really just, it makes it that much harder to pass because the cars are just so much bigger now. I mean, the cars that F1 has currently, they're bigger than the Indy cars that are racing the Indianapolis 500 today. I mean, think of that. I mean, they're like half a meter longer and wider an F1 car is compared to that. So the cars have to be shrunken down. Hopefully, maybe when the talk of the possible V10s in the 2029 30 season. That'll help shrink it down because ever since the hybrids came in, the cars got bigger just because they had to fit the giant battery. Let's be honest. That's what changed a lot of things in Formula One and a lot of the quick reactiveness the cars had. Lando needed this big.
Big time.
Big time to keep things going with Oscar. Otherwise, if Oscar gained more points on him, then it's going to be writing's going to be on the wall soon. But he needed that huge.
Yeah, is Oscar taking a step backwards here a little bit as he was dominating there, and now 2 races in a row in this 3-leg? He was hoping to at least win. I probably would say 2 of the 3 legs after coming off of just win after win after win for Oscar Piastri.
Mm-hmm.
And right now with the big can of nope through 2 races with 1 race to go in Spain, how do you think Oscar Piastri is feeling right now?
I wouldn't make too much of it. I mean, that pass Max made at Imola last week was epic. I mean, that's a full send. I got cojones pass to pass on the outside there. So I'm not going to say much of that because Oscar's wasn't going to risk the car to lose points either at that point as well.
Yeah, Oscar Piastri, 2 more wins. 2 more wins than Lando Norris, but only 3 points ahead in the standings. So
it's still early. So
nipping at the heels. Listen, you got to look at those standings all year long because you know what happens, and that could fall off pretty quick as we head into Spain. Final thoughts on a big Lando Norris win here.
I got a stat for you for Oscar, just to give you something. In 27 seasons, the driver who won 4 of the first 6 races became champion 26 times. Only time it didn't happen was 76 with Niki Lauda. So if you're Oscar Piastri, you're going to be feeling pretty good about yourself anyway, just from that.
Got to be feeling good, but can he be the second since 76 to not pull that one off? Because it is getting tight.
You cannot count out Max either, because Red Bull definitely seems to be improving weekly. And it's also got the best driver on the grid right now, Max Verstappen. So
yeah, and he's only 25 points out. So if McLaren has just an awful weekend one weekend and Max Verstappen wins a race, 25 points out means he's right there with everyone else. So obviously it's a big chasm as it looks, but you never know what's going to happen weekend to weekend. And if McLaren spits the bit one weekend and Max wins, say even next week in Spain, he's right back in the conversation. So hypothetical, of course, but we'll see what happens with that. Again, congratulations to Lando Norris, his 2nd win of the year. Putting another one on the board and keeping it interesting. That's for damn sure. And I got to say congratulations to Ferrari. I'm sure we're going to get to a little bit of Ferrari talk later on, but they're definitely starting to recover from what really seems to be a pretty shit start for the first quarter of the season for them. So definitely seems to be recovering there. I'm sure we'll get to that in a little bit. Final thoughts on the race before we move into a Quizmaster's cockpit. I'm getting fit in my helmet.
I think Formula One's going to have to come up with a new plan. I mean, they took the two-stop swing and it didn't work out. Maybe they have to pull off something like, your first stop has to be within the first 20, 25 laps or something. Because you have the guys out there just sitting out there holding traffic up for a bunch of the race to let their teammate get that pit stop ahead so that they can do their stops. It was kind of madness from the mid pack. I mean, the first 4 guys were pretty much with each other the whole race, kind of in a way. I mean, there was a little bit more space in between them than you would have liked until the end there. But I mean, there's probably something they could try and come up with. The main thing is you got to shrink the cars down.
It was definitely a parade at the mid-pack. Absolutely a parade of just
Well, they had the guys,
driving
especially,
around
like, Williams,
Monaco.
like Sainz was like holding up all the traffic so that Albon could get far enough ahead so that he could make his stops. It was kind of madness. It was kind of madness. I mean, Mercedes was, I don't know what the hell Merc was doing, waiting like the whole race to. We'll get to that in winners.
We'll get to all of that, but yeah, a little bit of a
say
frustrating day, that's for sure. Yeah. Watching the train, watching, I think all but 6 drivers got lapped. The race with, I think, Kimi Antonelli got lapped 3 times, I believe. So it was just an interesting race, and not what we may have expected going into the weekend, especially from a Mercedes perspective, but we'll get to that in a moment. But before that, of course, sir, my helmet is strapped on. I'm getting in the cockpit. We're going to take a lap around the historic Monaco Grand Prix, as it is, of course, Quizmaster's cockpit. 3 questions. I've had a pretty good year so far. I've gotten at least 2 out of 3. Out of 5 out of 7 times, I got 2 out of 3. Twice, I got all 3 of them. So I only got 5 questions wrong the entire season. I am due for a flopper. And I've been partying a little more than I've been studying recently. Just to be honest, on my birthday weekend here and a Monaco weekend, it always collides with a Memorial Day weekend here in the States. So it always is just catastrophe for me in my brain. But let's see if we can get through here. Rev those engines and start them up. What you got, sir?
Question 1, sir. When was the first Monaco Grand Prix in Formula One held?
1950, the first season of Monaco of Formula One, 75 years ago.
That is correct, sir.
On the anniversary.
That is correct, sir. Question number 2. It's pretty simple, I think, this week. I think you should nail it. Who has the most wins at Monaco, and how many?
Senna. Senna has the most. I believe it's 6.
That is correct.
Wow. All right. Wow.
Get that suspense music played.
This might be the new favorite part of your week.
I did no. My favorite part of the week is heading to that fantasy island of Green Toffee. That's my favorite.
We'll get there soon. But now, it gets a little intense.
Second, if you get the first 2 and you get the intense music going, this is good times.
We've been here a lot this year.
Long enough. Only took 5 seasons to come up with this one. It's all right.
All right, what you got, sir?
Question number 3. Aaron got the win today. I think it was like 17 years since the last time they had won at Monaco. But how many times has McLaren won the Monaco Grand Prix?
How many times has McLaren won the Monaco Grand Prix? I believe they
won
have
it the most.
I think I know this. I saw it earlier. It's like 15 or 16. I'm going to go with 16.
That is correct.
Wow. I had just by total chance had seen that this morning. I'm glad I recalled it. Wow.
That back to back?
I think that's back to back. It's been probably the first time ever.
That is back to back.
Probably the first time ever.
That is back to back hot laps. Wow.
I mean, the first question was a little cupcake there.
Well, yeah.
And everyone knows Senna's got the most, but yes, 6. If you're paying attention. And, yeah, 6. That was a tough one at the end. If I did not just like at random, like chance, I believe yesterday, see that statistic, that it was 15 yesterday. So it was 15. So today made 16. First time since 2008. Lewis Hamilton was the last one to win it for McLaren in 2008. And that's about all the Monaco knowledge I can drop on you today. So once again, I got to flip my pages around because we're going straight on to winners for back-to-back weeks.
Yeah,
How about that?
I did not have that.
Starting off the triple header. Last week was the Williams with the 8.
Can you do it? Can you go 3 for 3 next week? Stay tuned and tune in.
Can I run the triple header gauntlet 9 for 9? I guess we'll have to wait and see. All right, sir. So winners, we had a bunch of those today. So what do you got?
You got to give it to Ferrari. I mean, it's Leclerc's home race. He knows these roads like the back of his damn hand. I mean, he usually qualifies good. He just usually has some stupid, crazy bad luck. Outside of that, not being able to end up starting the Grand Prix. But solid finish second. He went for it there at the start, especially when Lando locked it up. But it's Monaco. It's hard for the pass, and the two-step thing wasn't going to change much there at all. Lewis also a good race. I think this is also kind of like an illusion. Let's not fool ourselves here. It's Monaco, so it's not the most high-speed track out there, so they could run their car low, which is where they thought their car was going to run, so now they can't do that because otherwise they destroy the plank everywhere else they go.
Mm-hmm.
So
they've done that this year pretty well.
Yeah, so this is I think it's kind of an illusion on where the car is. I think in reality the car's still not that great. But got to give it to him. Second and fifth. It's good points. Away you go. Isaac Ajar, 6th place. First Monaco Grand Prix. Fantastic. Fantastic day for Racing Bulls, to be honest, too. I mean, we trashed Lawson enough, too. What did he finish? 9th? I believe,
Lawson
or something like that.
8th, 4 points. 8th. I think that's more points than he's had all season.
Yeah, so, I mean...
Couldn't get that done in a Red Bull.
No. Give it up to Racing Bulls. Yeah, solid team finish. Huge. Looking better than Red Bull, with Yuki making a mess, but we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we'll get into that in a moment.
Who you got, sir?
Listen, as shady as Williams drove this week, they did score a double point. A little unethical, but... Once again, they're scoring double points, and after a just rough season where we really had high hopes in 2024, and we really beat up James Vowles probably every single week last season, you got to give it up to them where credit is due. They played fair, even though you're, like I said, marginally ethical in some of the things they did to hold up that train, but they did finish with double points, and got to give it up to them, and got to put them in the winner's circle this week. And listen, Esteban Ocon finishing 7th. Haas just, that's 6 more points for Haas. That's more points than Haas has scored sometimes in an entire season. They're really turning things around. And if it wasn't for, and we'll get to the other side of the garage in a few minutes here, and the disappointment of Ollie this weekend, but you really got to give it up because he really did put together a complete weekend, Esteban Ocon, and I was really critical about him and his attitude going into Haas. But it turns out he's been pretty surprising, and once again, another top 10 finish for Esteban Ocon. He's putting up points all season long. And hang on 1 second. I want to see where he's at in the standings as we take a moment here. But as the standings are concerned, as they fall right now, updated standings, you got Esteban Ocon in 9th, top 10. And you have Isaac Hajar now in the top 10 in 10th. So how about them apples? Esteban Ocon in 9th overall. Not what we expected going into the season, even though it's fairly early in the season. So those are my winners, sir, which of course brings us into the losers category.
I mean, Yuki, you get a little bad break there, getting hit by Gasly, but still just, you're at the back. it's just not a good spot to be. It's not where you're supposed to be. So Yuki definitely. I mean, he's gonna have to. He's gonna have to start turning it up here. Otherwise, he ain't gonna be in that Red Bull seat much longer. Especially with Isaac Hajar putting performances that he's been putting in the last few weeks. I mean, if that keeps up and Yuki keeps stumbling, finishing at the back of the pack, he's gonna be back in Racing Bulls pretty darn soon.
Mm-hmm.
I have a pretty strong opinion, pretty strong feeling about that because Red Bull are not shy, as we know, to pull that trigger. I'm gonna give it to Merck too. I don't know what the hell they were doing.
The whole weekend.
I mean, yeah, really. The car failure for Russell made him like no hustle Russell. And then their strategy was, I don't know what the hell that was. Russell was absolutely frustrated and just lost his mind there. What do you, I think it's why they ended up giving him the drive-through penalty instead of just a penalty for passing somebody, gaining an advantage, passing somebody off track. I mean, I think they gave him the drive-through too, and they're like, when the team's like, give that spot back, and he's like, yo, let him give me a penalty. So that, I think the stewards took that radio message and said, yeah, you think you're funny there, pal? We're gonna give you a drive-through penalty. So, I mean, that was just a mess. The strategy just trying to hold out to try and I don't know what the hell's going on. I really have no idea. No idea. So that was just disaster for that. I don't even know. I don't even know what the hell. Total Wolf, please tell me what the hell that was.
Yeah, they spit the bit just this weekend bad.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Who you got?
Well, those are your losers. Listen, it was a rough day for some of the rookies for sure. Gabriel Bortoleto barely made it around the first lap. Out there. It was a tough one for
well, he got hit, so...
Was that?
He got hit, so,
They just had a tough day, and of course, as you just mentioned, Kimi Antonelli just getting lapped 3 times, finishing dead last for those 18 drivers that qualified. Definitely not what you expect, but of course, that is just rookie driving at Monaco. It's just a tough place to drive, and welcome to the Big Boys show when you're in Monaco, and you got to give it a big fat loss once again to Aston Martin. I know Fernando Alonso was up there, I think in 6th. When he conked out there, just terrible luck once again. But you had, if you noticed, Adrian Newey was there this weekend and checking out some of the action, and he did pre-race, or at least on Saturday, come up with some pretty good excuses and a little insight, maybe not excuses as much as, but insight on kind of what it takes to turn a team around and kind of justify the fact that they're taking steps backwards to take a step forward. And really, if you start in February 2025, you should have a car ready, by December for pre-testing of that year. And that's how long it takes, about 10 months to get where you need to be. So, yeah, but once again, it is just a sad showing from Aston Martin, sad all season, and hopefully Newey can do something, because if they stink like this next year, it's going to be pretty damn embarrassing, and they're going to have to do something really major overhaul, because they spent a lot of money to turn this team around, and whatever they're doing is not working, and hopefully they're getting some numbers here that are going to work in their favor and take some time off of this of these terrible lap times they're putting up just every track we go to. Slow tracks, fast tracks. Doesn't matter.
Don't matter.
Don't
That's
matter.
Rubbish.
Absolute trash. Which, of course, brings us into more trash as we pile it on. And that, of course, is...
I need to slap my goddamn self for that.
Somebody's going to get slapped cheese. I think on a birthday weekend, I'm going to steal this one. And
Please.
We're going to take it home because we missed out on a double Haas points weekend because Ollie Bearman,
On your birthday weekend.
who usually comes through and had a really good race day coming from the back of the pack, but he should not have been in the back of the pack. He passes on the red flag. You got to see the red flag. Obviously, it was a rookie, just a little bit of a rookie disaster across the board. Ollie Bearman, no excuse there. Haas is really trying to take some real steps forward here, and that was definitely a step backwards where you could have put 2-3 points on top of the 6 points that Esteban Ocon put up, so it really could have been closer to an 8 to 9 point weekend for Haas. You blew it, and it was a stupid mistake. It was an unforced error, and I hate unforced errors, especially when you're dealing with the big boys in F1. Unforced errors are just, that's an automatic slap, because there's plenty of ways to get into forced error situation, getting driven off track, as we see all the time. Situations we saw a lot of bumping and grinding going on today. As I mentioned earlier, Bortoletto, the situation with Yuki and Pierre Gasly, who we didn't mention, who blew it this weekend as well. But yeah, you just blew it. You blew it. Unforced error. There's going to be plenty of forced errors. You can't have unforced. And Ollie's been great, and you got to beat him up when you can. And it's not a beat up. It's a slap in the face. Ruined my birthday weekend. Ruined my birthday weekend. Maybe going to the top of that hill might make that weekend a little bit better.
Oh, yes. That's the best damn sound of the week right there. It's the best time of the part of the week. To take that fantasy ride to that fantasy island of great tunes. Where the beer flows like wine, the wine flows like beer. And the cannabis, oh yes. Oh yes, it goes as far as the eyes can see. Look at it out there. Green and luscious. Take a little whiff. Oh, that air smells. Take a little walk to the top of the hill, the casino top. Just like Monaco, baby. We cashed in early. Check it out. Me too.
Mixed bag this week. A mixed bag, I think, overall, numbers-wise. I think so. You had your homeboy in the home race, Charles Leclerc, winning. You realized that right off the bat that was not going to happen, as Lando Norris got to a great start there. So you lost that one. You had Lewis Hamilton top 4 once again. You lost Leclerc and Lewis by 1 place each. A little rough. You lost both of those, but you made it all up in the trifecta there with Norris, Leclerc, and Piastri plus 100. So you big fat 0 for you for the weekend. I, on the other hand, also had the Norris, Leclerc, Piastri. It's really hard when you have a plus line and the top 3 qualifiers are boxed at plus Monaco. 100 for top 3. It's like a no-brainer at Monaco. It's like free. That was a free money. That was like the ATM is broken and just throwing cash out. So if you didn't go jump on that plus 100 for that box trifecta of Norris, Leclerc, and Piastri, you're definitely not having a good weekend. I didn't even see who had the fastest lap. So we're coming on here just not long after the race here. So maybe someone else sneaks in, but you'll take a look at that. I had Merck finishing double top 10. That didn't happen. Just a sad weekend for Merck. I thought they would come through in the race, and no safety car plus 330. That was, wishing one hand and crap in the other there. But, with the 2-stopper, I thought we would have less of a chance of a safety car, and plus 330 is a big fat number, but lost out on that one too. So we're taking a look at the fastest lap time, but depending on who had the fastest, I thought it was Lando Norris, which I had for fastest lap plus 225. So we'll see how that pans out. So depending on that, depending if I won the week or not. But geez, another week down. Even if I did, I'm still definitely behind you, as you have a big fat 4,325 and I have 4,150.
Lando
you went
did have
nowhere.
Fastest lap.
Was that?
Lando did have fastest.
Lando did have the fastest lap. That's what I thought. But
on the final,
which means 0 on the final lap. Which means I'm plus 115. So here's the updated numbers here. You have 4,325 greeny bucks. I'm catching up now, 4,265 greeny bucks, which means I'm less than 100 greeny bucks behind you, like Lando Norris to Oscar Piastri. Closing the gap, sir, to a reasonable 3 points. If Lando wins the next race and Piastri loses or comes in second, I believe there will be Oscar Piastri or Lando Norris will take the lead. And I think the same thing here. If I beat you out in Spain in almost any degree here next week, I can take the lead back from what was seeming like a lost season early on. So you never know when you're in Greentopia looking out at the cannabis fields and enjoying those Monaco weekends. So catching back up, sir. Only 80 points... 60 greeny bucks. Only 60 greeny bucks back. And we are both overall losing for the season, just so everyone is aware. We are both down. So, like, many hundreds. So shouldn't be bragging that much. This is real cash. If I had to pay my mortgage in greeny bucks, my wife would have killed me by now. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. But I am beating you, as we're both having a rough season to start in Greentopia. As we continue, sir, we have a little bit of in the news.
Yes, the final segment.
In the news.
Got a few bits for you. News piece number 1. The F1 game is coming out this coming week. Will you be buying?
Probably won't be buying it right off the bat. If I do, I will download it, not buy it. I know you're a purchaser of games. I am a downloader of games. I know there's a big...
I pretty much download most things.
You download now, okay. I would love to know out there who is downloading and who is purchasing the physical game, because I know there's a big split amongst the gaming community. You can hit us up at inthepaddock@gmail.com, inthepaddock@gmail.com, and maybe, for the right answer, we'll send you a copy of that game, a physical copy of that game. So hit us up there. Yeah, man, I would love to get the game. I will download it probably in the next couple weeks when I have some time to play it, because when I download it, then you're going to want to play it. And in this time in my work life, it's a little tight. So probably 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, maybe around Father's Day here in the U.S., I will grab the game, but not immediately, because it will be way too tempting to sit down and 8 hours straight of not sleeping and playing the game all night. You know how that is.
Well, we're probably I'll be. So that sounds about right.
Yeah, that's how Yuki Tsunoda keeps losing his seat places.
Well, you shouldn't be up playing video games all night if you are actually a Formula One driver. Just saying. Sounds probably not a good idea.
Probably not a good idea.
Probably not a good idea.
Yuki admittedly
probably
does.
Should be in the simulator, not at home playing video games. Maybe working out and at the sim. Those are the things you should be doing.
Yeah, Call of Duty is not an F1 simulator.
No.
That's for you, Yuki Tsunoda. All right, what else you got?
Let's see. I'll skip over some boring ones this week. Rumors gaining steam, but Alpine might be interested in getting Perez on their team. Thoughts on that?
I think I mentioned this last week, which was also being rumored out there, that Sergio Perez might end up in a seat this season. Alpine is kind of a mess right now. And if they feel that they have a car that could score points and it's not, you really got to take a look. Pierre Gasly with just a rough weekend himself with that DNF. And, maybe Sergio Perez probably needs that seat if he's going to be a Cadillac next year. Maybe a second half, for Sergio, and maybe he puts at least maybe put some points on the board, or maybe even just prepares himself for Cadillac 2026. But it looks like it looks like Alpine season is done before it started.
Yeah. I mean, that car was overweight to start, so that was big trouble to start right off the bat. If they bring in Perez this season, it's not just going to be for half the year or something like that, and then he can go to Cadillac. It's going to be on a probably like a multi-year kind of deal, I would expect, to try and get a second veteran driver there next to Gasly if they want to go anywhere. They are going to be have Mercedes engine next year as well, so the Renault they will not be doing their own engine. So,
well, it's been a while since
there's a lot of rumors flying around with the secondary Alpine seat with especially right after they switched the Doohan to Calapinto. So it's not the old days of Formula One. They're pulling the trigger quick and early now. So there's no jokes anymore. So if you
absolutely
don't put up,
no
you're
jokes.
going to be out of a seat.
Colapinto finishing 13th this weekend. Not terrible. Probably better than what Doohan would have finished, to be honest. But, there is no patience anymore, as you mentioned, in Formula One. Not like you get a whole season.
No.
You better perform right off the bat. And I think simulators and a lot of the things that you can do off the track to prepare you for the track are the difference. Right? These high-end simulators are just unreal. It puts you as close to the track as you possibly can get without actually driving on it. And you got to be prepared. And if you're playing Call of Duty or you're driving a simulator and preparing for the week, you should know these tracks. Those of you who play the Formula One game at home, if you know that track better than these guys who are driving on it for their careers, you don't deserve that seat. And it feels sometimes like that some amateurs know the tracks better than some of these guys who are on the track themselves.
That's fair. We'll go final story. Pretty much all the drivers, except for 2, I believe, were not there. But it was 18 of the 20 got a pre-screening of the Formula One movie this week during Monaco week. The drivers said they liked it. They liked the on-track action, but a little bemoaning of the Hollywoodization of their sport. Which, it's a Hollywood movie, so it's not going to be totally accurate. They're going to put some stuff in there. But overall, the drivers liked the movie. Are you excited for the F1 movie, Michael? I know I goddamn am.
I know you are. You'll be seeing that. I'll be trying to head out back to you over the 4th of July weekend, your birthday weekend. We'll go check that out in IMAX on the big screen. But I know you'll probably see it about 3 times before I even get out there. Probably most likely, and I don't think you'll mind seeing it a 4th time. It's going to be, even if it's a mediocre movie overall, it's just the graphics are just going to be just absolutely fantastic as far as the racing and getting in the race. I recommend everyone seeing it in IMAX. Obviously, you're going to be a Formula One fan if you're listening to this program, but I recommend everyone seeing it in IMAX and just getting out there and seeing it. Of course, they're going to complain about the Hollywoodization. No matter what you do in Formula One, everyone complains. You do Drive to Survive, everyone complains. That's real. Okay, you complain about that. Then you do something that's fake. You complain about it. That's too fake. It's too real. It's too fake. I don't know. Maybe you just have Formula One should just be.
It's not totally real. I mean, they blow a lot of crap out that ain't really happening too. They make some crap up in that show as well.
It's Hollywoodization. That's way more
Hollywoodization.
Hollywoodization than you got probably in this Formula One movie. I haven't seen it. Don't have an opinion on it. I was not in the driver's room hanging out with those guys this weekend. As cool as I think I might be, I'm not on that level. Nowhere near it, sir. Maybe one day. But not today.
I'm not that cool.
I'm not that cool. All right, what else you got, sir?
That's all I got for you. We'll leave
All
the boring
right,
crap
we got
out.
the end of another triple header. We got next week, June
Going
the
to
1st.
Barcelona.
as we begin June. Barcelona.
Circuit to Catalonia.
Absolutely. Some may call it Spain. As you know, those folks in Spain, they don't love when you call it part of Spain. That is the Catalonian region of Spain. So be very, very careful and cautious with your words. And again, thank you all, everyone that consistently just listens, comes out either for one episode or for every episode. We got Dallas, Texas checking in this week, Portland, Oregon, Melbourne, Phoenix, Arizona, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, Glenside, Pennsylvania, Hearst, Texas, so many more on the list all around the world, Frankfurt, and Germany, and Vienna, and Austria. I'm just checking out the list as we get them in, and that's only in the last few days here. So thank you all for checking out the show. As always, we see new cities each week. We see repeat cities each week. We know you're listening, and we appreciate every single listener that listens every single week as our numbers just keep going up and up. And hopefully one day we'll be able to take over the world and be at a racetrack where they won't throw us out. That would be fun. Say what you got to say, brother.
Fun. I will see you guys in a week's time from the Circuit to Catalonia. But until then, as always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.